Hey, how's it going? It's Grant with the Garden of Eater. I also got Myra with me. Shelby will be joining us soon. But tonight we're going to be talking about the perfect shrimp tank. And exactly what the perfect shrimp tank is going to be a little bit differently for everybody. I'm going to go over what would make the perfect shrimp tank for you. So starting off, every shrimp tank, of course, needs an actual aquarium. Whether it's glass or acrylic or what type of glass, I'm not really going to be talking about that. Personally, as you can tell, we are a big fan of the $1 per gallon sale at Petco. A lot of our tanks are the rimmed Aquarium tanks. We've got plenty of rimless ones. A lot of the new tanks going into Shelby's tanks, or half of them are rimless. The other half are these Aquarium tanks. It doesn't really matter what the aquarium is made out of. For me, I always try to go with the biggest aquarium that I can fit in that location that I have. So for this rack right here behind us, it holds 90 10-gallon aquariums. I went all the way up to the ceiling. I had the room to do that, and just enough room in between the supports and the top of the tanks to work in them comfortably. So for me, I optimized that space. And if I were to do, 20s or anything like that, I would get a lot less tanks. So the goal behind me was the most tanks above 10 gallons that I could fit. And usually, the bigger the tank, the better, because the more volume of water, the easier it is to keep the water parameters stable and consistent. Whether you're doing water changes every week, every other week, it doesn't really matter. The more water volume you have, the better. So on the counter, measure out how big of a space you have for shrimp. They don't really utilize that top of the water column, but it is going to factor in on the percentage of water that you have to help maintain everything and keep those water parameters stable. So, how are you doing? We got Shelby. I thought you'd say hello.
I don't know how to when I come in late. I feel awkward. You just silently sit down and just listen to the class. You don't make an interruption or anything.
But you're kind of part of the class. You're not sitting in the class. You are the class.
I am sitting. I still need to learn. Oh, wise one.
Fair enough. But basically, the biggest tank that you can fit, the better. Price can factor into that. A lot of times, the bigger the aquarium that you go, the more money it is, of course. So if you can only afford a 20-gallon and you have room for 30s, go with the 20-gallon. That way, you're able to buy the rest of the stuff on the list and then get exactly what you need. But my bare minimum for the perfect shrimp tank is going to be 10 gallons. If you only have room on your counter space for, a 5-gallon or smaller aquarium, shrimp would be great for that little setup, but don't really expect much breeding. So in my perfect tank, there's lots of breeding, perfect growth, and in order to get that, I need a 10-gallon tank or bigger. Nothing else to add? Will you take this little thing so it's easier for me to look in my notes? And then the next thing you need for an aquarium is going to be the filter. Filtration can vary. There's so many different options out there. Basically, you need something that's going to prevent your babies from being sucked up into the actual propeller or filtration, whatever you have. So if you're going to run a canister filter, hang on the back, you definitely got to make sure you have either a stainless steel guard that goes over the intake or a sponge. But either way, you got to make sure that the babies aren't going to be being filtered out into your aquarium as well. For us, sponge filters are the way to go. Whether it's the cheap ones like the dual suction cup sponge filters that we have here, or the newer aquarium co-op with the fancy lift tube and everything like that, sponges are the most bang for your buck. I really feel shrimp spile load isn't that insane. You really don't need to go over the top with them. However, Sponge filters are perfect. I do think that the Aquarium Co-op ones are the best ones that I've gotten my hands on so far. So for my perfect aquarium, I'll have one of the Aquarium Co-op sponge filters in there for sure. But the more filtration, the better. And I also like the setups that we saw in the beginning of the year with Plamsky. He had a lot of flow in his tanks. And one of the things that we've done recently is the Aqua L Aquarium. It's the thumbnail for this video. But besides the algae, and the algae came from the wood and not treating the wood, it has nothing to do with the tank at all. But the actual growth and the baby production from that tank is phenomenal. And it's only got the two, they're powered sponge filters. They're not just sponges. They got the propellers on them, and one of them's got the flow bar on them. And it really does produce a lot of flow in that aquarium. And I do think that the stronger flow in the tank will make for stronger shrimp. So a lot of our yellow king kongs and stuff like that have a little higher flow in their tanks, you can literally see them climbing out of the water, onto the glass, and eating the biofilm that's kind of dying off on the glass while it's dry. I just changed her.
She just sneezed all over. So.
Oh, okay. It was just a sneeze. So I got here late. Did we already cover that you need a lot of money? So personally, there's a budget aquarium that you can make a perfect shrimp tank. And honestly, it doesn't cost that much money. Off the top of my head, I think in order to get started with everything that you need for a Neocaridina tank was like only $135. Now, that's the tank, the light, the filter, the substrate, everything. And then with a Caridina tank, it of course going to cost you a little bit more, and I think it was $280 with the budget RO Buddy water saver, so that way you could do your water parameters properly with the Caridina tank. I'm sure you could do it even cheaper than $135. I have a budget shrimp tank that I want to do here very soon, but I will go ahead high end on a tank right now. You could spend sky's the limit, right? Same with filters, lights, and everything like that. So I'm not going to do the most money that you could do, but throughout tonight, right now, I don't know if the dollar per gallon sale is going on, but roughly $16 is about the cheapest you're going to get a 10-gallon tank. And that's still, what I consider being a perfect tank. If it's in your budget and it's in the size that it allows, that's the perfect tank for you. So not everybody's going to have a spending budget to buy the biggest and nicest and everything like that. But the good thing is they're just shrimp. So you don't necessarily need all the fancy doodads and everything like that. We got another question here. This is in my experience. We're all different experience, but in my 5.5 works great. A good amount of breeding and colorful shrimp. I'm sure that in everybody's experiences, it's exactly that. But for us, we have a 7.5 gallon tank right next to me, and the shrimp just take longer to get to that full size. And overall, they're not as large as they are in the shrimp in my 10-gallon tanks. We've done a 5-gallon tank, and we've done some of the smaller cube tanks, and even the Caridina, they just don't quite get as large as they do in the 10-gallon tanks. But again, if you only have one tank and you're doing massive water changes and you're kind of catering to them a lot more than, say, what I am for my 5-gallon tanks around the house, then you might be able to get the full potential out of them. Also, a lot depends on colony size and how much stuff you have in the tank. The 7.5-gallon tank is probably 20% rock, 10% wood, 10% plant matter, and then like 5 to 10% substrate. So it's not really 7.5 gallons of water.
So this person, Sleeper Barbecue, said more quiet also, which I'm believing is the power heads or
Probably
other sponge
the
filters.
the powered sponge filters are for sure going to be more quiet. If you're asking about Corey's Aquarium Co-op filters, I don't know if they're more quiet yet.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
Because it's in our
But-
bedroom where we sleep, so we'll figure that out. Said yes, so I'm assuming the
a,
first
a
one.
lot of the sponge filters that we have that are like bubbly and making noises is when like they unsuction cup themselves and they're floating, and then they make these weird pocket bubble pops, and they're really loud.
And then said Truth just scored a 6.08 filter lid and light Imaginarian. Please say that will work. Yeah, that's the little. Is that the little plastic tanks with like the lid and the light and everything?
No, I don't think they're plastic, but they're the smaller tanks. It's like the National
It's been
Geographic
so long since I've
brand or
been
something
actually
like that.
in a pet store. It's so weird to think about, but we don't have good local pet stores. So, but yeah, I mean, we have the 7-gallon, a lot of 7-gallon tanks around the house, like a Denierly Scapers tank.
No, those are all 10.
Those are 10?
Those are all 10.
Oh.
This is the only 7.5 gallon or smaller tank that we have running.
That breeds fine. Like you said, it's just the shrimp just don't get as big, but they still breed. They don't have to get to full size. So if you want competition shrimp, the bigger the better. More water volume on that.
Then you also have box and under gravel filters. Those are both great for shrimp as also, but for me, I have so many aquariums, and it seems like with the under gravel and the box filter methods that the substrate is exhausted a lot sooner. So in order to change all of the substrate every single year or 2 years for that matter is not something I really want to do. So ideally for me, the sponge filters are, I don't know, I don't want to say perfect, but they're the perfect for our situation, right? If I were to have just a few tanks, I probably would run canister filters. Shrimp thrive in pristine water, and I don't see any kind of other filters really polish the water and do a better job than the canister ones. The canister hang on the back. The Denierly filters are some of the best little nano filters that we've ever used. And then the canister filters that we were using in the garage, the fluval ones, and we were trying to grow plants with them, they were stripping all of the nutrients out and the plants weren't doing well. So it's definitely something you want to consider if you're trying to just run the perfect shrimp tank is a canister filter. They're really good at polishing the water.
I also think they suck up too much. The sponge filters do wonderful. They
do enough, but if you're going for a really high flow tank,
yeah, or like
canister
super
filters,
clear.
I would do one canister filter probably in the oh man, what are we doing in the garage? The studio. In the studio. Jesus.
I wish we had a live stream camera just on like a fish tank, and especially the newts. You would understand why I always make the weirdest faces at this tank. Like the female newt just like curled up into like.
And I just had to
shape.
tap the glass. I swear, I think they're dead all the time. They're just so lifeless.
Jesse, just one more fish member for 5 months. Thank you so much. Says, hey guys, hope you all are well.
Doing well. I'm enjoying my last little bit of my vacation here. It actually ends today. I have to start working again tomorrow, but
you don't have to work tomorrow. Tomorrow is his birthday, by the way.
No, it's not about that. But our substrate arrived today, and we've been waiting for it since before Thanksgiving. And I want to get the house to 500 tanks before the end of the year. So that means it's got to start because. Like in less than 3 days, we've got your party, and then we've also got Christmas, and we ought to go to Lucas's house to celebrate Wesley's birthday. So I don't really have a lot of time to get these all done, and I want to see Corey's filters in action. So tomorrow there will be 36 more tanks running at least.
Yeah.
But it's all doing well. We're doing great. Hopefully you are too. I haven't got any pictures of the fish room recently. Maybe I have, and the kids have not showed me that I had a text message.
Nathan, member for 21 months. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, nerd. Laugh out loud. For real, though. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Anastasia, member for 3 months. Happy birthday, Grant. Thank you. Dave's look at those cheeks. So cute.
She's adorable. Shelby's getting upset because I've got her locked in. Most of the time when I lay down on the bed, she's all daddy.
Oh, daddy.
Stares at me,
daddy.
giggles, talks, and yeah, it's nice to be at home with the kid for once. Because the last 2, I worked pretty much the entire time that they were toddlers and babies. But for this talk, I wanted to include air pumps too, since I did mention that the perfect filter could be a sponge filter. If you're only running a couple tanks, I'm a big fan of the Whisper pumps. I think they're quiet enough and they're powerful. They do have a little tiny air filter that you can replace that is really nice on it too. So if your filter starts reducing in power and you didn't know there's a little air filter on it, maybe it changed color and you didn't even know that there was a white pad on the bottom of it. So definitely check your filters on the Whisper pumps, but our Alita pumps also have filters in them, and they're what we use to run all of the aquariums in the entire house. And I'm super impressed with them. We've bought in some used pumps from people, and overall, I think the lifespan that we've gotten out of our pumps is definitely paid for themselves. Gemco is another great brand that I would recommend, especially for their customer service. I was trying to figure out what Gemco pump to buy for the ponds outside, and then they helped me figure out how to get my pump working. And I was like, well, as soon as this thing craps out on me, I'll end up buying one of the pumps that you guys recommended, and it's still running to this day. So I've never gotten the Gemco, but the fact that they walked me through my own pump before I bought one from them, I would recommend them. And when I reached out to Alita about a question, I never got anything back. So I would definitely look into Gemco filters, but Alita is what we've been using. They're nice and quiet. The actual bubbles from the sponge filters are louder than the Alitas themselves. So the number next to the Alita, they sell like 10s, 15s, and 40s. I kind of use that number for how many tanks I'm going to be running.
Beauty and the Buds, and many people are saying happy birthday, by the way. You'll check out that later. Beauty and the Buds said, happy birthday, Grant. Do something to treat yourself. The way Grant treats himself every birthday is he wants to do projects and get them complete. And that's a treat, and it's a reward of its own. So every birthday we have done something productive. It's always something. We travel, we do a lot of collecting, and it's too cold right now to go in the water most of the time.
December sucks to have a birthday. Because it's so close to Christmas. I don't really feel like spending money on myself to go do something when we have kids. I'd much rather spend the money on the kids around the holiday time. So a day of grinding out, hustling, and getting done one of the big projects. And mind you, Shelby does pamper me. She brings everything to me, so I don't have to hunt and find everything.
It's pretty much she bosses me around to get it done, and that's okay with me.
I don't want to say it like that. It's more like she just caters to me. She knows my needs, and she fills them out. So
it's okay. It's on your birthday.
But
you could be the king for the day.
But we're doing your rack, so
yeah. But you want to get it done. Could wait a day.
Yeah. This was a goal that I wanted to have done since last year. So the insurance definitely put a halt to that. All of the money that we were going to spend on that rack
just never mention it
after this year, I could stop talking about it. But until this year's over, it ruined this year. I'm going to
start marking off.
I'm going to say there's 3 horrendous things that happened this year, and the insurance was one of them. So,
Nano Aquarium guy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says happy birthday, Grant. What's the 2025 tank number goal?
There is no goal for 2025. I think it's simply just going through the house and capitalizing on everything. Because right now I'm looking at a row of tanks that were Shelby's fish tanks. and I've got to go through and do a deep gravel clean, maybe some fresh substrate, maybe a little bit of razor in there before the substrate hits it, and then get shrimp back into all of those. And the it's not so much a tank number next year as it is a video number next year. I want to get back to that, a video a day, or not a day, a video a week, a live stream a week. Shelby's doing 2 live streams a week, by the way. If you guys didn't know, she does a live stream on Thursdays at 1 o'clock on the Pisces USA YouTube channel. It's only 30 minutes, but it is a great way to, kill your lunch break on a Thursday, or just, relax and kick back and listen to them talk about aquascaping and stuff like that. So
so awful. Kill your lunch break.
Kill your lunch
Ruin
break.
it.
I mean,
ruin your lunch break. The board is getting.
I mean, you want to kill a workout.
I gotta get it all out
you
today
wanna-
because I can't be mean to you tomorrow.
I guess.
I gotta get it all out.
Technically, it's my birthday already.
I'm
I've
done
already
with that.
got
Yeah,
all
only-
of the importers are already messaging me saying happy birthday. All the beta breeders, all the boost sellers. I don't message any of them. They just message me. They tell me happy birthday, brother. And I look at the message. I never respond. I get them every single year. The more important one, though, is for my grandma, because she's in New Zealand. New Zealand is like the first time change for the new day. So I get like 3 days of my birthday, really, because Hawaii is also so far behind. So I milk it,
He does. But yeah, the no tank goal, unfortunately, like 500 is, we know it's like our max. There might be like a few here and there that we might add in.
The garage is going to have less tanks than what we were planning on, because it was going to be 600, and instead of 600 tanks, it's going to be a lot of nice breeding Neocaridina tanks, some breeding
Turtles.
The turtle ponds, turtle bins, and then really nice aquascaping and a little workshop for all of our hardscapes. So you could build a hardscape before you put it in the tank, or you can organize it all and film it and make things a lot easier to do content moving forward.
Yeah, and it's just overall quality is just going to improve. We did want to get to a certain amount of tanks because we see that's where the will do better financially. But now we need to make sure to focus and hone in on each one of them, and of course start focusing more on the videos and explaining all of it.
Because 500 tanks is great, right? But if 40 of the tanks aren't doing anything, there's no point in me moving forward and setting up another 100 tanks, because then I'll have 140 tanks that aren't doing anything. So
Jim said, did Plansky use sponge filters and sumps?
he used sponge filters. He used sumps. Some of the tanks had just hang on the back filters, and some of them had canister filters. Plansky did like triple filtration for all of his tanks. You can consider plants as a filtration. You can say he did quadruple filtration. But no, Plansky, seeing his setup in the beginning of the year was not a game changer for me because I couldn't implement it into everything, but a game changer for my competition shrimp. I'm definitely going to be running some specific tanks with more filtration and more current to try and get bigger, stronger, healthier colonies for competition.
That will bring out videos for us to know whether more filtration is better for those shrimp or not. So it's where we've been doing the same routine. We got a couple different tanks, different things. So bring more content to the channel too, to give you guys actually something to view in 2025. We've been slacking on those videos, and we apologize for that. Nano said, should have asked what are your ice cream goals for 2025?
Well, just seeing which flavor ice cream she likes the most. I think that's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I don't think a YouTube channel for ice cream is in the future for 2025, but maybe you never know. I just want to eat as much as I can, of course. We did already buy 5 Frosty keychains. If you didn't know, right now you can go to Wendy's and you can buy a Frosty keychain for $3. Inflation, it went up $1, but if you have yours left over from last year, right now you could technically double up on how many Frosty keys you have. And we always buy 4 every single year. However, this year we did buy 5. I am planning on her eating Frosties by the end of next year. So she has her own Frosty key. And of course, I'll use it for myself too and double up on my own free Frosties.
Let's see, is that I've caught a Pisces live. It was really good. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And Dave said just sub to Pisces USA. Thank you. Really appreciate it. We just mainly focus on aquascaping and everything to do with aquascaping. So hopefully you enjoy that. Back to you on building the shrimp tank.
So we did a tank. I went with a canister filter as my ultimate one, but the Alita with a series of sponge filters is ideally my perfect situation. And then we have lights. Lights are important. You don't need to go over the top. However, for us, there was a point where setting up aquariums became a little bit expensive. A lot of people think because we're on YouTube and we do this full time and that we're breeding all of these fancy shrimp and that we've got a ridiculous amount of money. I am constantly on a budget. The reason why we haven't gotten 500 tanks set up until now is because throughout the entire year we've been dealing with things that have taken away from my budget. So this little thing, for one, but after the insurance, it was just keeping money in case something happened. But she's all nice and healthy, and we're moving forward with the tank racks. So, man, you had something else on there, and I can't remember what I was getting to that. I don't remember. Just being able to afford and get what you can. We didn't have lights on all of our tanks at one point. And I went like a year without putting lights on my Neocardinas, and they all ended up looking like junk after a year. And I thought I was going to have to restart, that I was just left with coals. All the nice ones kind of died off. But no, that simply wasn't the case. After I put lights on those tanks again, after about a month, they got their tans back, the pigment came back, and a lot of them looked like stunners like they were once again. So the genetics were still there, just the actual lack of light, lack of pigment. Yeah, they just didn't look very good. So you have to have a light on your shrimp tanks if you want them to look good. Sometimes, the natural daylight from a window or something like that can be enough. I know the Opalula don't get a ton of light, and they're glowing sometimes during the actual LED doesn't give them a ton of light, but because they're that tank right by the back door, and the back door's got a window pane on it, it gets a beam of sunlight. The tank gets fully algified, and the shrimp do kind of look a lot nicer glowing in the sun than they do in the lack of darkness. So
Beauty in the Bud said the video of all your shrimp tanks was excellent. I've watched it 3 times. I'm obsessed with the green really. When will they be ready? Thank you so much for that, by the way.
I'm hoping that the green Rillies are in their 2nd generation, and this 3rd generation that comes out, they're going to go bananas, because they have been one of the slowest breeding Neocaridina shrimp that I've ever gotten. I got them imported for my birthday like 3 years ago, and I'm only on 2 generations. So I don't know what to do with them to crack them to get them going, other than I listened to Greg Sage's talk this year, and he talked about how some fish can be stunted and not really breed that well until about the 3rd generation, until they get used to your water parameters and standard of living, and they will. That 3rd or 4th generation will just be absolutely bonkers compared to breeding anything else. So, yeah, that's the problem. When I'm holding you during the live streams, I'm doing all the talking, and you want to listen and you want to watch me.
I had my phone, I would take a picture. She's just sitting here grinning at him. So cute.
But hopefully next year I can get them cracked and booming, and I can start selling some green lilies. But right now I'm not thinking about selling any of them.
It's just so cute. Nathan said that's kind of cool, Shelly. Thanks for filling us in. Yeah, it's really cool for like, especially if you have kids, because Frosties are expensive, and if we just pay the $3 up front, then I mean they're like 50 cents, but like that adds up all year. I
The
think
junior
like
Frosties are
now.
still like $1 something.
Yeah, they might be like $1.07 now, but like they're crazy. And like to have 2 kids and then him that wants ice cream, so it just adds up a lot when you're going quite a bit to get Frosties.
But back to the lights, I'd say 90% of our house is either beamwork or aqua neat LED lights. We get the full spectrum ones. I usually go on eBay or Amazon, and I search the size light that I need and then try to find one that's full spectrum. Always LED full spectrum lights are going to be great for your plant growth, at least for our low-tech shrimp tanks anyways. And I just go with the cheapest model that I can find. In other cases, we've done the Aquascape contest, and they let you take home the lights from those, and we've got some of the fluval planted lights, and the new rack that Shelby just got has those as well. But that was for us aquascaping for Fluval's booth at Aquashella. And then we also have the Aqua L light. All of those lights are incredible. The growth on the plants is a lot more than these cheap LEDs. But when you're talking a shrimp tank, if you want to grow UG, you want to grow the Glosso, I mean, all of the foreground plants will grow in this with these cheaper LED lights. It just takes some time.
Pebbling Creek Aquatics, member for 24 months. Thank you so much. Just ripping out the mic cord almost. Said Shelby Grant, good evening. Good evening to you as well. Thank you for joining us. Southwest Florida Aquatics said I have red, yellow, blue, green, snowball, getting orange. If want release, what would be the best to cross?
You can do the reds and the blues. That would be the best one to try and make the red and blue release. You could also get red release out of doing that cross, but you could also possibly get wilds too. So it's one of those things where you're probably better off buying a better line of release, because even if you're able to make your own, there's so much work that goes involved to get them to a decent color rate. I would suggest finding some release that are already established.
Back to you.
And then you could also get release off of like blue diamonds and stuff like that too, and just selectively breed those out. So we got the lights established. Of course, go with your budget. LEDs, the more expensive planted full spectrum lights are going to work great if you're doing high tech, but you can get away with using those cheaper Beamworks. I can't remember the other really cheap brand that's out in the market now. Current, maybe? No,
Not that we have. Is it one we have?
no, I don't think we have it. But there's another really cheap LEDs out there. And then the next thing is substrate. For Neocaridina, you could go with a really, really cheap black diamond blasting sand. If you like that look, that's great. Go with that. It's cheap. You can save your money. With Neocaridina, you can use any inert substrate, and it's going to be working just as good as any other substrates out there. I don't suggest using a aqua soil for the Neocaridina, just simply because for like the first 3 months or so, you're going to deal with a lot of pH swings with the soil absorbing carbonate hardness as you're doing your water changes and getting the tank back to a neutral pH with the aqua soil. So you can cap it and you can reduce the amount of pH swings and stuff like that. But I really don't recommend using it if you're going to do Neocaridina. You can do some tiger shrimp in that tank. If you have to do the aqua soil, maybe you're better off just going Caridina and doing it that route instead of going with Neos. So if you are going with the Caridina soil, though, the reason why we're waiting this long to put Substrate in Shelby's room is because we're waiting for the good stuff. And we got it. It's here. The Brightwell Escuro. It is just simply black Substrate aqua soil from Brightwell. And it is what I consider, I think Nice Crew is the one.
I was going to say Higer.
No, Higer isn't really as, I think, cheap as these other ones.
It's competitive pricing, for sure.
On
Amazon, it's pretty close to the other ones.
Like Higers are limited at a 4 foot. Maybe Nice Crew is, but if Nice Crew sells a 6 foot, then I'll allow it to be with the Beamwork and the Aqua Neats, because that's what I recommend the most, because I like the most bang for your buck, and we get them across 8 foot of tanks. So, but the Brightwell for Caridina is what I consider to be the gold standard for the hobby. There really isn't anything else on the market that I think is comparable to it. There's the old ADA that's no longer accessible. And if you do stumble upon one of those old bags, it's probably not fresh and won't last you very long until it turns into mud. So for us, we've gotten a solid 5 years or more out of our Brightwell tanks before we had to even move them or think about moving a hybrid or a tiger shrimp into their aquarium. So it's definitely something that might cost you a little bit more money up front. But if you're not having to swap your substrate out every 2 to 3 years and you get double the lifespan out of it, to me, it's worth a little bit more than double the amount of money because it's a lot less labor. You get twice the amount of time out of it, and you don't have to like re-establish that tank again, because that 30 days of getting the nice biofilms and everything else like that in the tank, it's hard to do when you have to tear it out every 2 to 3 years.
Southwest Forest says, I have one tank with Neos, has small pea gravel, rust and white sand that all do well. Yeah, Neos, you don't have to worry about the substrate. It's really whatever's inert and whatever you like. And there's so many options from like cheap, dirt and to all the way up to like really nice, cool looking substrate. Passed out. She was just looking at me a second ago. She's out like a light.
But now, if you want to go on the other end on the Neocaridina substrate and you want to get what I consider is the best on the market, and Shelby's not going to like this because she's no longer on the Carib Sea team anymore, I should say. But the Samurai soil, it has the look of the aqua soil, but it's inert. It stays a perfect rolled up ball. It's clean. You don't have to wash it out. And it's more of like a grayish color. So when you throw the black or the really dark blue Neos onto top of it, you can still see them. They still pop and show a really nice color. So that is what I consider the best substrate for Neocaridina.
And then Julian says, Night Crew has a ton of sizes and definitely affordable and reliable. Used them for years. Nathan says AQQA is a sister company to Higer, and they are a little bit cheaper. Run 3 of them, and they do great with live plants. So I just saw those on Amazon too. I think the only reason we went with the Aquaneat and the other ones is because they're the only ones that usually offer the bigger lights that we need to go straight across. I think that's the only reason. And then Julian said literally dirt cheap. Yes, exactly. Derek said howdy eaters, was thinking about the baby and hadn't been by in a while. So thanks for joining us. And she did pass out a second ago. She is out like a light. Oh, almost woke her up. Julian says, I'm wearing a Carib Sea shirt right now. What's the tea? There is no tea. I love Carib Sea. I work for Pisces. Sleeper Barbecue said, I planted tank using root fertilizer tabs is okay with the shrimp.
So I'm okay with setting the tank up with the fertilizer tabs before you put the shrimp in it, but not putting the fertilizer tabs in the tank when the shrimp are there. I don't like messing with the substrate at all. Once the shrimp are in the tank, I don't mess with the substrate. This tank right here, I'm not trimming or removing any of that. If I want to feed them and cull and anything like that, I know I'm doomed. So this became the cull tank. So there's nothing important in this tank. They are just all willy-nilly having a great time in there doing their thing. If I need to catch shrimp, I still feed them. I still try to get the right shrimp out of that tank, but it's not important.
Back to the topic.
All right. So then we got to have a lid. I honestly think the perfect shrimp tank will have a lid. The open top tanks, the evaporation, you can have an auto top off. I'll be honest, maybe an auto top off with a big reservoir is going to be not ideal, but adequate to having a lid. But honestly, nothing's going to be cheaper. You can't even see our lids on the back of these tanks. They're the cheap double polycarbonated panels. I got it. I lifted it up. I don't know what I'm talking about, but they're really easy. The cut, they're nice. They're cheap to make also. For like 20 of to make 20 perfect lids out of a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet only cost me about $96. So if you're looking for something better than that, there are custom acrylic lids and stuff with the little clips and glass cut lids for some of the tanks and whatnot. So, but for me, my perfect tank is going to have a lid.
So, West Florida Codex said, "Why don't you disturb the substrate?"
So,
in
my years, I've had a couple of issues with bacterial infections, and they've all come from me either buying new shrimp and getting them that way, or with moving the substrate around, ripping out a crypt, or doing something like that. It will disrupt something in the water column and create a immunity compromise in one of the shrimp. And then when you get one die, and then another one dies the next day, and another one dies the next day, maybe it's not that big of a deal now that we have cure, and I can maybe mess with some tanks if I absolutely had to. But then you're spending money on cure. So I'd rather not touch the substrate at all if I don't have to.
Seems to be when we have bacteria blooms too sometimes. Mike says, "Do you use liquid ferts for the plants then, or just what's in the water changes?"
So the aqua soil is full of volcanic ash and nutrients, and it does a great job at feeding the plants. The shrimp waste is also going to go and feed the plants as well. But we don't use any fertilizer or any CO2 for any of the shrimp tanks. I do have a couple of planted tanks by the front door that I just started fertilizing. But honestly, I'm so bad at it. I already missed to do the second dose by like 2 weeks. I should be doing like the third dose right now.
Yes, I did. I am getting everyone's email. I have not responded. I am behind on all shipping again. Just our packages in general because of Black Friday and the holidays, so we're a little bit behind. We will be mostly caught up by Saturday. We will not be caught up by Monday of next week.
The problem right now is all of our clubs are having the holiday parties and club meetings, and it's just a lot to get stuff out on a Saturday. So our Mondays have been completely booked, and Sundays we've been spending with the time. Like yesterday, we took the kids and we went and saw Santa with Myra for the first time. We have a little park that has a miniature train. It's like a 1/16 scale or 1/8 scale, but it's rideable, and
Cool.
We're able to
Full-grown adult rideable.
Take a little train ride to Santa's workshop, take pictures with Santa. Myra really wasn't able to enjoy it really at all. The kids didn't enjoy it at all. They're
Absolutely
like, I'm way
hated
too
it.
old for this. But they enjoyed the train ride, not so much Santa, right?
Yeah.
So
Poor kids.
it's all of that on top of keeping up with the house, Shelby's new job, and Shelby's usually the one that handles all of the uh, emails and everything like that. So if it's not Baby Myra,
I'm almost up to date.
It's
almost
not
there.
Pisces. It's all of the backup from Black Friday. So we're bearing.
And someone went golfing today for his birthday. His friend's birthday is literally the day before, and then Grant's is tomorrow. So they picked in between to celebrate it. And I was like, no, it's his buddy's only day off. He works for the post office.
They tried Sunday, but I had already promised my Sunday to the family to go to see Santa.
So it's just a little bit of everything. But I did get out as much as I could today, which was crazy. Jaden even came in and was like, that's a lot. And I was like, I'm trying.
But if they owe you like a gift card or something like that, email us.
I think we're on
again.
I
think it's just the swag packs and stuff like that that we haven't shipped out yet.
The actual shipping.
Sorry.
So that's the problem. Yeah, I just haven't got to it yet. I have it all ready. They're sitting there ready. I just haven't.
Hashtag swag. Let's give away another one.
Thanks. Okay. And Grant loves to give away things.
It is the season.
Tis the season.
We do these giveaways every year.
Every year. You'd think I would be prepared. One of these years, maybe. Oh, I gotta refresh the page.
But I just talked about a lid, substrate, lights, filters, tanks. The next thing is we're getting fancy now, and we're gonna talk about some wood. I think ideally in my perfect shrimp tank, it's got some wood in it. I've been a big fan over the years of spiderwood, Mapani, Manzanita. All three of those I think are ideal, great choices for wood in your shrimp tank. But recently, the honeycomb or the shrimp wood or the dragon wood, whatever you want to call it, but not the dragon wood. I hate saying that. I should not even bring that up. So the honeycomb wood is the only thing I'm going to call it from now on. I think that's what I'm going to go with. It is my favorite wood. I've added it with some dragonstone into one of the smaller Aqua L tanks, and I like the tank so much I can't decide on what shrimp I'm going to put in that tank yet. So haven't put anything in there, but the wood though is definitely my favorite to use. We've scaped with it in a couple of different situations, some of the shows also. And it's like the easiest wood to escape with. I did it in my talk for the Keystone Clash. And I was like, this tank's going to look like horrible when I started my talk. And at the end, I was like, dang, the tank actually looks pretty nice. So, and the main reason why I thought it was going to look bad is because I was focusing on teaching them how to use the materials and how to glue things together, not how to build a beautiful tank. But it still came out that way. You don't need a lot of wood, just a little piece. When we're doing aquascapes, a lot of times I'll have to cut off like a little branch or a little piece off the wood to make it fit into the tank or the area that we want it to. And I don't just throw that wood away. I'll throw that chunk of wood into one of our shrimp tanks and the shrimp lug on it and have mosses growing on it and microorganisms and the whole 9 yards. So it does its job. You don't necessarily need a huge, massive piece in it. But yeah, you're getting fancy. Your shrimp tank doesn't require it, but it still works really nicely, and it's beneficial. What's going on now?
I was just trying to show the thing because the fish fan link's not working for us, so trying to put it back up. It just cuts my face off. That's fine. That works.
No, it is not. Take it down. It doesn't need to be up there.
It just doesn't say it in chat like it does for the other one.
Well, I think once somebody does hashtag swag, it'll be known, and we can take it down.
And then I'm really far behind in chat now. I'm going. I don't know how to do things. There we go.
All right. So then we've got. Do you want to hold her, or you want to put her in the rocker? She's so warm. She's like an oven.
Turkey ball.
So, my Blue Neos threw some jet black babies, black rose, I guess, thinking of setting up a tank for them. I might have brought this up last week. Yeah, pretty much they're a black rose. I like to call them black diamonds because sometimes under like stressful conditions and high light, you can still see that they're like a really, really deep dark blue and not quite like a brown black like the black rose are.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually see the difference. Like, I think if I had a whole tank of just like the jet blacks that come from black diamonds, I would be able to tell the difference between a black rose and a black diamond. But nonetheless, really cool. I threw a couple black diamonds in coals today. Just didn't want them in that tank anymore.
I heard Kohl's, like the shopping store. I know you said Kohl's, but like you threw them
I
in
forgot all
Kohl's, and I
about
was like,
coals.
man,
Honestly,
you went shopping today while I was at golf?
you know what I should do is I just go do a video at Kohl's with Kohl's.
Take the Kohl's to Kohl's.
Let's go shopping. So stupid. Night Owl Aquatics member for 27 months. Thank you so much. Says, thanks, y'all. Happy birthday, Grant. I hope you enjoy entirely too much ice cream.
Well,
we will have to go to his favorite ice cream place, and I will just have to suffer.
We'll go to Tippecanoe for lunch, and then we'll take the kids to Papa Clyde's.
Okay. I'm the kid. I'm the only one who wants Papa Clyde's.
Yeah, but the Jaden likes Papa Clyde's more.
Sleeper says, do you use heat packs when shipping in the winter months?
No, we do not use heat packs because right now in Florida it is 80 degrees. So if we put a heat pack into the box, it is going to cook the shrimp and then get them really cold. So it is not that good. As long as there isn't a substantial delay in shipping, then there really isn't any issues. And if there is a substantial delay in shipping, that 72-hour heat pack isn't going to help after the 3 days anyways. And that's what I mean by substantial. Like 7 days in shipping, heat packs aren't going to do anything. They're not needed. We've had people from Colorado request heat packs, and we explained to them, like, hey, if you get cold shrimp, it's because the ponds outside are cold. Like 1 week when we were shipping out, the ponds were like 45 degrees and it was cold, but they're fine.
Yeah, you just need to be aware when you are receiving shrimp to make sure to keep an eye on it, because they just can't. No fish or shrimp should ever sit out on a porch. It doesn't matter if it has a heat pack or not; they will not survive. And we've had experiences with that, not us, but other people that shipped fish that were like, I don't understand what happened. It's like, well, you nuked them, and then they went to a really cold place, and the heat pack's not working as well. So it's a very dramatic change in temperatures there. Robert said, I just bought some black rose shrimp, and there's a mix of black, very dark blue, and a couple of nice brown ones. Is this common?
So they might just be stressed out. The very dark blue ones are usually, you know what I mean, on that blue diamond spectrum, where they come from. The blue diamonds come from black roses, so that's why some of them can look a little bit bluish in color when they're stressed out. And the same with the really nice brown ones. Do you have them on white substrate by any chance?
And I do notice that. So black rose, green jades. What's the other one? There's one more shrimp. And Bloody Marys. All three of those, when they are put into different water parameters, they could be a different color. We experienced that with like the shrimp competition, and the blue bolts do the same thing in the Caridina, where they just look different in someone's water parameters sometimes. And that's like a big one that will look different.
But if you have them on light colored substrate, that's probably why.
Sleeper Barbecue said, glad you said wooden tank. Is tannin necessary for shrimp tanks?
No, not at all. Like I said, you're just getting fancy with the wood. It's not needed. We've got plenty of tanks behind me that don't have wood in them at all.
But doesn't mean it's not beneficial. Julian said, honeycomb wood and honeycomb pattern plecos would be sweet. That would be cool. would love that.
And then the next thing on the list is rocks. For the Neocaridina tanks, you could really use any kind of rocks that don't have copper in them. There is some like the petrified wood that has like the copper veins running through them. Stay away from that, of course. But any of the other stones in the hobby are pretty much good for the Neocaridina. With Caridina, you want to stay away from limestone and the mountain stone and Ciru because it does leach some carbon hardness into the water and will actually raise your pH instead of lowering it.
Brian said, what do you think about the Caridinas instead of having all soil, just having some in a basket and just switch the basket when you need to?
I just think that what else are you going to have on the floor? Are you going to have something else? I'm a big fan of the substrate in the big surface area to help keep the pH stable. And the more substrate layer you have, the more stable it stays, the longer it lasts. So I've seen like the little hanging baskets and the bags and the boxes, and they're all easy to rechange and stuff. They all look like eyesores, though. They don't look great in the tanks. So I'd rather just go old school and substrate on the floor and change it out every 5 years if I have to. You're only going to be able to fit so much in that little tiny basket, and it's going to be needed to be changed out more regularly. So it seems like more work, and it's not going to look good.
Yeah. The only other thing you could do is like a little tiny layer of substrate, then the basket, and then like kind of put plants around it. That would be kind of cool. And then like rip the basket out and like it be in the corner. But like if it's just bare bottom, those look gross. No one likes to see bare bottom. I'm sorry. I know that there's people that do it in the fish world, but it's just like not as pleasing to look at. Like it's just kind of, and I definitely think it stresses out the fish quite a bit because it's just not pleasant. Coles is an A-tier video title. I'm gonna have to do it now though. Bring a cup of Coles. Coles. I haven't been there for a while. It gives me an excuse to go shopping. There was another thing and I lost it.
Do you have the pen? Yeah.
Tiny shrimp sweaters. If I knew how to knit, that would be awesome. Bare bottom at the moment. We'll be getting some substrate. Not sure what color to get. When you have darker shrimp like that, darker substrate will have them color up more. And then like a white substrate, I do those for the blues because I like to cull them out. That you can cull a lot easier. So it really depends on what you're trying to get at. If you want them to look really nice, darker substrate, you're going to get them to color up really nice. They'll be less stressed.
And up to this point, you have everything that you need for your shrimp tank. You don't necessarily have to have a lid. So you could really get your shrimp tank down, your very first tank, to about $104, $114. And that's including buying a little bit of dechlorinator to get your tank going. Then letting it run for 30 days. You know what I mean? Doing it the natural way. You don't have to buy bacterias and all this other stuff either. So it's really not that much money. You can spend another $10 and buy your first set of coals from like club members. Spend $25, $26, and you can buy 10 wilds off of us on the website, right? So it really doesn't cost that much money to get started in the aquarium hobby. Considering I think I spent that much alone on lights for our dwarf chameleons. And
sometimes the local clubs, if you can, they usually have good prices on shrimp too.
I said that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Beauty in the Bud said, the green jade coals I got from you guys have darkened up nicely for me with dark substrate and algae covered walls. They're almost impossible to find in my green tank though. I only have a green tank that's all green and it drives me crazy. Can't find anything.
So the greens could be nice. They could be coals. They're too much work and they're very moody and they don't look the best in the 55-gallon tank that I have, but that seems to be the consensus that I'm getting from a lot of people is how nice they are. So I tell people they're priced at the point where you're going to get bad ones and be disappointed. But I mean, if you get all really good ones, that's a hell of a bargain.
Jesse says I feel attacked at the bare bottom aspect. That's so funny. I didn't notice it. That's a good sign that I did not notice that you had them.
If you do the work to siphon the bottoms of the tanks regularly, then they look great. However, with shrimp, there's little tiny wee babies that are in that mold, and you're going to be sucking them up, or it's just going to take so long for you to carefully do it without doing that. It's too much work.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good when you do it on a mass level. If you got the babies,
yeah,
the shrimp babies. With big fish, I love the monster fish tanks with the bare gravel or the tile floors. I like that.
That's your opinion.
I like stingray tanks.
I like it in the pool's
is
fine. To me, that's not bare bottom. I'm talking about fish tanks because they're so they're clear all around. It's just like an unpleasant sight. I don't know. I'm talking about people's fish rooms that clearly feed too much fish food, don't clean up after it, and that just drives me crazy. But there's a bunch of people that have taken care of them that are okay. I just like plants, and they just don't. They look awkward without soil. Like even the Java fern mats look weird.
Now, mind you, there's some sanded, dirted tanks that look horrible with all the mold on it too. I'm not a fan of mold. So
yeah, we're picky. I'm more picky than he is. So Sleeper says hard well water here, 7.5 pH. I'm thinking a planted sand tank for the Neo shrimp. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. The actually next thing I'm talking about is plants. So let's go over that. For a shrimp tank, ideally I want to start my plants before the shrimp are in there. Crypts are great, but like this tank of crypts, eventually I'm going to have a crypt that's going to grow on the exact front of this tank, and it's going to drive me nuts. It's going to block pictures. It's going to do all sorts of things to drive me crazy in the years to come. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Same with this tank right here. Eventually these crypts are going to be too close to the glass, and it's going to be a problem. So I kind of avoid runners like that. Swords are awesome because they kind of like just get bushier in like 20-gallon tanks and 10-gallon tanks. They just take up too much room. But like if you wanted to do a planted Neocaridina tank with sand, jungle val is great. But again, you're going to have that jungle val eventually get to the front of your tank. You can trim runners and pull them out of the sand and not really have to deal with that big root being pulled up and all the substrate coming with it. It's just more work. But for me, ideally, my best planted shrimp tanks are going to have Blixia. Blixia is a great plant. It kind of clumps up, doesn't really send a lot of runners and spread like a chain sword or micro sword or something like that. And then I love bulbitis. If you can get a big old clump of bulbitis, it can root itself and go into the substrate, and it won't really climb all over the place and get too spread out. And when it does, it's generally time for the tank to be reset. Same with Anubis, same with Boost. But generally speaking, I like to just toss in a little clump of moss, let it grow out to half the tank, and then pull it out, put back in a tiny clump, and let it restart it all over again. But the Boost and Anubis has been something that I really enjoy, as well as Java ferns, because they also don't go into the substrates. Anything else you want to add?
I wasn't listening.
Okay.
You're sleepy. She looks so comfy. I just want to go back to sleep. Vibes Aquatics member for 7 months. Thank you so much. Says Merry Christmas, y'all. Florida over the holidays. Love y'all enthusiasm. Sending good vibes. Love y'all. Thank you.
You need to let us know on what day you're planning on swinging by. I need to make sure that it's not the day that we're going to Lucas's house.
Oh, is it New Year's? Ours is after Christmas, so
What? What's
when
after
we go to
Christmas?
Lucas's.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
between Christmas and New Year's, I think, is when he was trying to come.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm also really bad at remembering things. But I know Vibes is coming.
We both can't have bad memory. That's not okay.
And we both have a problem to say no when buying stuff. So we're too much alike, Shelby.
I'm better at saying no.
No. See? I just did it.
No, when it comes to animals,
You couldn't even argue.
for sure, I
You couldn't
have
even
to
argue.
say that I'm not good with that. I cannot say no. Like, I would literally let an alpaca in
But
my room
when I
in, like,
said
the
no,
house.
when I said no, you were supposed to go no back, and you didn't. You failed. I am the better one at saying no. Everybody there witnessed it.
Get out of here. I can't wait to see you, Vibes. Johnny says, if tap water is very soft, what type would you prefer?
If you're not going to go through and polish the water and make it RO water, then you would do Neos. But you would still have to add minerals into the water.
Jesse says, I only keep bare bottom for the monsters anymore. Most of the fish tanks are getting escaped slowly. Yeah, I have no experience in giant fish besides Oscars, and they were out in a bare bottom pond outside. So, like, if I had a pond inside for it, that's like a whole different story. Like, our ponds, I don't like things in it. Ask Grant. I absolutely hate when he puts substrate out there because you know what? People get substrate in their cups of shrimp sometimes. And I cannot
Not when
prevent
I'm
it.
catching them, though.
Because you're a perfect person, okay? But when I'm catching 1,000 Neos outside, I'm not picking out them little tiny pieces of gravel that I accidentally scooped up. You, however, put inside. If you put gravel in your Caradina, I would be absolutely disappointed in you.
You turn it into a game. So what I do is the gravel that I catch, I load it onto the tiny catapult, and then pew, I launch it back into the pond. Plus 5 XP every time I do
catch
it.
all the Neos now.
I'm
and
just
I want to
kidding.
see no substrate in any of it. None.
Never will be.
Not even a half a piece of substrate.
Now, mind you, I'm definitely guilty of giving people snails where they shouldn't be getting snails. It's hard to get the little baby Malaysian trumpet snails out of there. And I swear, sometimes some of the shrimp run around with a baby Malaysian trumpet snail as like a cigar. They're just like holding it. Like, no, you weren't listening.
No. So I have snails to keep the bare bottoms looking decent. That's smart. I know a lot of breeders that do that in their like little cups and everything.
No, that's contradicting itself. Have you ever seen how much snails poop? There's no way there ain't a herd of snail poop in the bottom of your tank.
I guess but maybe you can't see it that bad. I absolutely love just like a thin layer of sand with snails because then they kind of just draw artwork for me all the time. It's actually pretty cool.
I do enjoy me some snail art, but not when it's on the bottom through poop. When it's the algae on the side of the tanks, please give me some snail art.
Thank you so much, Johnny, for the $2 super chat. Crypt Parva will barely grow, so there's that.
It
grows in the worst conditions, by the way.
Slow grower. It loves sand. Yeah.
It loves sand.
Shelby had a beautiful carpet of it for many, many years without trying.
Yeah, it was just in one of it's like my crypt tank, kind of. It's just a 10-gallon.
10-gallon.
10-gallon. You're not allowed to make fun
I've got
of me.
them 10-gallons on sale. $1 a gallon.
I was just trying to defend myself last week on the fact that I don't have a hillbilly accent. And there we go. There it came out.
Got them gallers. Got them gallers of Southern tea.
Oh my goodness. I can't even focus now.
So
the Crypt Parva in the front just grew like crazy. And Grant saw it one day and he was like, I can't get this to grow in a good planted tank. How is it growing in this sand? There's like nothing in there. It was just shrimp and some endlers. And I think I had the beta fish in it at one point for a little bit.
That tank's been shrimp cold.
It had my beta fish.
Maybe
Don't tell me what I had in my tank.
Maybe it had
Get out of here. Why do you reset a tank?
So we purposely haven't really reset any aquariums except for like 2 tanks that were completely like all of the substrate turned to mud. Like it was just not mulm, but like when the substrate starts off at 5 millimeters, after so many years, it's going to break down with erosion. And a lot of it will go into the filter, and dust and stuff like that will be cleaned up with water changes, but not all of it. So eventually you just get like this layer of really tiny micro mulm. What are you going on about?
I feel like my 5 millimeters is like this big.
I was saying 5 millimeters, and it's going to get smaller with erosion, woman. I didn't get to that point, all right? It's
like,
listen.
those are like the
Joke's on you.
balls.
They're watching it on their phone. That was 5 millimeters to a T, okay? All right? You don't know what kind of device they're using. So, anyways,
That's some weird
but
substrate.
they're going to get smaller. So, over time, eventually, they don't look like aqua soil anymore. It looks like mud. And so, we've reset tanks like that. There's a couple of Shelby's tanks over there with the fish tanks, and it's like a mix of mulm and substrate. So, I'm not really going to do a reset. I'm going to take a Python siphon on it. I'm going to suck up as much of the mulm as I can. Some of the substrate's going to come up with it because it's so light. But then I'll add like a fresh layer of substrate on top of it. Now, what's funny, Shelby?
I just can't stop laughing.
Listen, you keep laughing. I'm going to go get me a gallon of milk, and I'm going to go get me some cookies, and I'm going to go enjoy myself elsewhere, okay? I do need water. I'll do that.
Julian said, I just got some green jades at Pasco. May need to switch out the light sand in the tank to darker substrate. See, if you're just breeding them for looks for yourself, 100% darker substrate will make them color up a lot more. If you're doing it to like compete, you might want to keep it on the lighter substrate and then cull out the ones that aren't getting as deep. But I tell you, there's some of our ponds are white outside, and the shrimp look terrible out there. And you bring them inside, and they look phenomenal in a tank. So I've definitely given culls. Sold culls to people that were like pristine shrimp. So once they got them in their tank, they're like probably thinking this was not a cull. I only figured that out after I had taken culls from outside to put inside to create like a new shrimp. That did not happen. I just had nicer shrimp that came inside. So that was funny. Stephen P, thank you so much. Gifted 5 Garden of Eater memberships. Thank you. And thanks to the lovely Stephen P. If you did get gifted a membership, you do get a members only sticker. Make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com, and we'll get those out to you. Just include your YouTube name and your address. Thank you so much, Stephen P. You think I'd have that like to a T, just out? I missed the videos. It's been like a solid year where we haven't had a video where we played it. I don't even think we have them anymore. No, I just have Crypt. Oh, that made me sad. Crypt Keeper's question of the week. That made me super sad. I don't know the last time we were able to do that. He's been too busy working, adulting. Temperate Tank says, how the heck do I get some of the garden's bacteria without that little bit of gravel?
Reread it.
How the heck do I get some of the garden's bacteria without that little bit of gravel?
Some of the garden's bacteria? What?
Don't know. Do you want the bacteria from our sponge filters? Snail poop is like tiny fleckos. You should trademark snail art. I wish I want to take a snail and like have a canvas for it to like do like all the animals from the zoo do. But like that's like animal cruelty to an aquatic snail.
No. I think what we do is we get like a sheet of algae really grown really thick on a piece of glass.
You lost me at algae.
And you put that glass, a sheet of it, inside a tank with a bunch of snails for an X amount of time, and then you take it out, and then you dry it, and you have snail art.
$1 a gallon. And he's never gonna live this down either. The next time there is $1 a gallon.
Oh, every
sale,
time she says gallon from now on, I'm gonna think gallon.
Yeah. Beauty and Bud says, "I love the trails they make through thick algae."
Now, of course, for your perfect shrimp tank, you're gonna have to have water. We were already talking about water before a little bit. If you have perfect tap water, then you're good to go with just a little bit of dechlorinator. I've yet to find a dechlorinator that doesn't bleach my clothes. I swore somebody said that one of theirs doesn't. So if somebody has one that doesn't, please let me know what company that is, because I've ruined a lot of really nice t-shirts recently. So
yeah, like brand new t-shirts that lasted a day.
Listen, it was just one t-shirt. If I'm gonna be honest now, just
not one.
What the name? The other one besides the Carolina Aquatic Workshop one.
Right, and then an Aquachar one's ruined.
The Aquachar one's not ruined.
You have several Aquachars.
I have two. One's not ruined.
Yes. Okay, one's not ruined, but the other one is ruined.
No, I'm saying one of them is not ruined. No, neither one of them is ruined.
Okay, we're gonna go through his closet tonight, and we're gonna count how many bleached shirts there are.
So you're gonna do that?
Caitlin said, "You're on a 40-inch TV, so life size there. So you were wrong." But Stephen P said, "Yeah, I measured 5 millimeters on a Samsung Galaxy S22."
See?
How ironic that specific phone, 55 millimeters exactly. Oh, God. That's so funny. Passing when you come up with the most ridiculous comments. But that's a great shirt.
So how do you know if your tap water though is perfect for your shrimp? A test kit. And you need to take these test kits with a grain of salt. Not all of them are going to be completely accurate. For me, the best method is to get a TDS pen, get a calibration fluid for your TDS pen, calibrate it, make sure it's accurate, and then use that in your water. And generally speaking, anything above 150 total dissolved solid is going to have enough minerals in the water that's going to be good for your shrimp. To double check on those minerals, though, you're going to need a GH and a KH test kit. That's going to tell you basically the breakdown of your total dissolved solids that's going into your mineral solution, right? So with GH drop kits, the API ones are great. Sarah is a little bit better and more accurate. And those are the ones that we would recommend you guys go ahead and get. The test strips aren't nearly as accurate as the drop kits are. The drop kits, though, do need to be cleaned out with RO water. If you're cleaning them out with tap water, that little residual leftover mineral calcium buildup that's left over in the tube after you're done and it's all dried out is going to show up on that next test. So you got to make sure you rinse them things out with RO water or some distilled water. And that way they're clean and good to use for the next aquarium. You don't want to just go, oh, I rinse it out with the aquarium water before I go and take the test. Well, you didn't rinse it out. So all of that buildup that's dried up inside the tube is going to be left over. And every time you add in aquarium water, a little bit of that buildup is going to be dissolved into your water. So
hopefully one day I can actually make a video like I have been saying for this full year. 25-year goals is that video. But that specific is one of the things that I had gotten into with Grant a couple of times going back and forth because I usually test and I'm like, no way it could change that much with just a little bit. Not only am I rinsing it out with tap water, but then I go and I rinse it with the tank water and then take the test. And it was still a dramatic difference in testing the pH, which was annoying to me because our tap water is not even that hard. I can understand if our tap water was in the 8s and then I was going in to test this, a low under 6 pH and understanding that. But it wasn't. It was raising them up past 7 with the minerals and then the testing of the tank, which was crazy. Fragile Said, have you tried putting your aqua soil in a box filter and change out box filters as the soil ages? We did answer.
Again, that's pretty much the same as putting it in a mesh bag, and it's going to take up a lot more of my time. I feel like it's going to exhaust that substrate and break it down a lot faster. The good thing about the substrate being on the floor is it's not being blasted with flow, and it's still buffering the pH. So I think when you put things into a filter and you start blasting it, it's going to buffer the pH, but it's also going to reduce the lifespan of your actual aqua soil. So everyone that I've seen used it has come to some type of conclusion that it does that. And when I have so many aquariums, I'm looking for efficiency. And to me, that doesn't sound very efficient.
There's some breeders that are doing well with it. Ruben's tanks are kind of set up like that, and I think he has no issues. But I don't know if he's done that with the new tanks that when he moved. But there's a lot of breeders that do it. It's all up to you. What we have done has worked for us, so we just keep it the way we have it. We don't necessarily try to go off and do something else when something's working. Vibe said, y'all decorate for Christmas. Of course we did. I've lost a lot of my Christmas lights. Every year I seem to lose more and more. It's driving me crazy. So we did get one new one this year. That's usually the goal, is we buy one every year. So we got a little penguin to add to our penguins. It's all ocean themed. Every year we try to find something that's like beach or ocean themed. And then, so we have like projectors on the wall. That's like, our whole house is teal. So the projectors make like this water movement. It looks like our whole house is the ocean. It's really cool. And then we have Santa on a sailboat with penguins. And then we have a lighthouse with a shrimp. I think it's a lobster though. It's a lobster, but we say it's a shrimp. And starfish. And then the penguin this year. So it's been fun. We have a crab and an octopus as well. But the octopus, I had to cut off all the strings because the lights already went bad within a year. That was sad. But I'll fix them next year. It's always the best time of the year is when I get to decorate. That's my one thing for Christmas is I have to put up Christmas lights. Nothing else. Christmas lights is it.
And then let me finish off this before we get into another one. And if you use your drop kits and you get your GH and KH and your TDS is over 150, you just want to make sure that your GH is over 5 and that your KH is over 3. Again, if you have under 3 KH, your pH won't be that stable for Neocaridina. And then if you don't have 5 GH, they'll have issues molting. So that right there will tell you if your tap water is good for Neocaridina. Otherwise, you're going to have to get an RO unit. The cheaper RO buddies might work for some people that have softer water, like Johnny. But if you're in like Central Florida and you've got really high TDS, you might need a 5-stage or a 7-stage RO unit to actually polish the TDS down enough to get you 0 KH. The Caridina have to have 0 KH to get the low pH from the substrate.
EJ said, I overfed now and have Hydra, not using no planaria because I want to keep the snails in my tank and I enjoy the snails. Hydra, some people have had no problems with them. Maybe try scraping them and like individually using a little, when I spread it, make it worse.
Yeah.
Maybe a pipette though?
No.
Just pipette them out?
No. So 100%, your Hydra did not come from you overfeeding. Now, if you're using like somebody's homemade shrimp food that's using like plants that they're pulling out of a pond down the road or something like that and dehydrating them, the Hydra seeds can still be transferred in the food and then go into your tank. If you're getting plants from local pet stores or you're not treating your plants before you buy them, no matter where you get them from, you want to make sure you're treating your plants before they go into your tanks. If you have a fish tank or something like that and you notice had a little bit of Hydra in it and you use that net in that tank and then you use that net in your shrimp tank, You just brought Hydra over from one tank to another. If the Hydra breaks off into little pieces, each one of those little pieces starts its own little Hydra. So you can't scrape them off the tanks. Then you just pretty much double or triple your population. They're really known to clog up around, or not clog up, but build up around high flow. So in between your sponge filters and stuff like that. But your best bet is to use some no planaria to get rid of them. I know you like your snails, but in my experience, no planaria doesn't really get rid of all the snails. It might kill off some of the weaker snails, but it definitely doesn't kill the eggs. And most of the time, my snails are still pretty much lively the next day. But the good thing about Hydra is you only need a half dose of no planaria. And in my experience, the no planaria only kills the snails when I have to do like a second dose. So follow our video on no planaria to dose your tank properly and reduce the amount of impact it will have on your snails.
Sleeper Barbecue says, my first shrimp tank, am I crazy trying to start with a blue tank, red tank, etc.? Maybe I should just be happy with a mixed shrimp tank.
I mean, eventually you're going to want to have all the colors and you're going to want to breed them out, and that's why everybody gets more tanks. But yeah, if you only have room for one tank and a red and a blue tank, you might get lucky and have red and blue shrimp and red rillies all in the same tank and not get wilds. You could also get unlucky and have some wilds pop up, and then those are uglier shrimp. They don't sell for as much either, so they're not as easy to get rid of and sell. So, but they make great feeders still. The Garden of Eater, get your pet or feeder.
That was not how you launched that one.
I wasn't launching it. I was just using it, okay?
Jimmy said, try using Fritz ACCR. Is that different than the complete?
So,
leg.
If that might be like the powdered instead of the Fritz Complete, but the Fritz Complete is what got the Carolina Aquatic Workshop shirt.
Nano Aquarium guy says, well, that solves the mystery. I thought I had somehow gotten bleach on some of my t-shirts. Yep. That's the same thing here. It's like Grant thing. It's happened in the wash before, but very rare to the amount of bleach that he got on there.
It's for me, it's more of a thing when I get wet hands. It's just a habit for me to just wipe them on the front of my shirt, and you get a little bit of prime on your hands while you're dosing 50 ponds outside, and you're not thinking that it's prime. And well, we're gonna find out if that's gonna stain or not, you know. And so far, it's always been staining.
This is the best one. I wish I could achieve this in a video for shrimp, but I don't know if you've ever seen those videos, but it's like I know what's wrong with it. It ain't got no gas in it, so I know I ain't got no water in it. I'm gonna get rubber fish and put them in a tank. That would be great. I can't do it to
We could do a mud skipper.
No, because I feel like someone would still be upset that it's out of water for like 5 minutes, even though they live like on land half the time.
If we're not doing anything wrong, that's great. Let those people come. Have at it. They made our one video blow up because they're like, yeah, great. Yeah, killed them. And it was just us opening up an Easter egg. And the first 10 comments were all Karens going, you killed them. Oh my God, look what you did. They're all dead. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to these people. But then other people started responding for us and like, they're shrimp. You're an idiot. And I'm like, I didn't have to say it. This is awesome. And yeah, it worked out.
Aquatics, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. So did y'all do Cocoa and Cookies Crawl favorite cookie? What is that?
No, I don't. I
don't know what that is.
I've never heard of that. But my favorite cookies are the lemon white chocolate ones that Shelby made. They're a little intense the last time you made them. They're super sweet.
This is how he tells me on a live stream.
But they're like, you can't eat them every day. But if
those
you
are
have
the only ones that were gone for the party.
I'm just saying, right. they're like super sweet and rich. But if
So,
you have them once
my
in a
favorite
while,
are
they're my
that
all-time
I'm
favorite.
tired of hearing my critiquing on my cookies. My favorite are the peanut butter cookies that his grandma make. They're little tiny peanut butters and then little Hershey's on top. I don't know what they're called. They have a name to them, but they're so good, and I just can't get. I make myself so sick eating those. They're so good.
But yeah, if I had to pick any cookie,
What's your favorite cookie?
I already said it. It's yours.
I was talking to
Oh,
Vibes.
I'm sorry.
Get out of here. I don't want to hear any more critique.
So then the last thing on the list is tank mates. For us, snails really is the best tank mate to have. Malaysian trumpet snails are the most beneficial. Hashtag swag. We're going to do this giveaway after I'm done talking about tank mates. And then we've got another one planned for after that one as well. But the snails, Malaysian trumpets, they're the best. Ram's horns I would put as second best just because they're the most appealing. You can get the blues or the reds. The reds look really nice in a nice planted tank. But then the pond snails, the bladder snails, they're not as attractive, but they're still beneficial and they still don't mess with your shrimp. So they're definitely something you can add to the aquarium. But my favorite tank mate of all time might not be as beneficial as the Malaysian trumpet snails. It's going to be the aquatic isopods. They're not really that new. Shelby's had them like 2 or 3 years now, but like they're new to so many people. So they're still kind of one of those things where they're snowballing and we're having a lot of sales for them. And I don't really see anybody else with them and selling them. And it blows my mind because they're just so easy to breed with the Neocaridina. They're easy to catch. We put a little mud turtle in our pond with them, and I'm sure he's got lots and lots of snacks. So they're great little additions to any aquarium. They didn't really breed the best for me in my first attempt to start them off in a Caridina tank, but they've got them in plenty tanks. Tim's got them in a tank as well. So
Yeah. She
wanna
had
do the
butted
giveaway.
me
Give
and
me-
then looked at me like I did it. My bad. All right, let's do this giveaway.
Oh, you want your mommy?
Oh, I am sharing it already. That's what I forgot. Okay. Is it this one? Yeah. There we go.
Hashtag swag.
It's gone. What did I do? I haven't used this in
Are
so
we gonna
long.
have to do it all over again?
No. It comes up.
Nope. Hashtag swag. Re-enter it.
Are you serious?
Yes, that's why I
Oh
said
my
I
goodness.
knew.
I hate
It
this.
does it
I'm
no
so
matter
sorry.
what. If you do are you sure we can't pull up the? Oh, it's because we're not on
Yeah,
there.
I didn't
Yeah,
do it fast
gonna
enough. So,
That's our fault.
yeah. We'll try one more time. Maybe it's that. Then it wouldn't be such an issue. Yeah, no, not going to work. We didn't put it in on time, unfortunately. So, I'm sorry. Hashtag swag. Brian said, is there a digital tester that is cost effective like the fish stores use? Is there a video of your RO setup?
Man, I can't even remember the brand name right now of the Hannah instruments.
Oh, yeah.
I think are the most cost efficient and accurate testers out on the market. But the method in which you have to keep like the pH testers and stuff like that, it just for how much we actually test our tanks, it wasn't worth it. So we actually haven't used any of them, and there isn't a video on the RO setup, but I do have plans on doing one. And especially now in the last month of setting up this new RO unit, I've learned so much more about RO. I feel like now I am like an amateur with RO units. Before, I was just a straight up noob, and I couldn't even tell you what was going on. And when I had
the water
issues,
go in, the water come out. We good.
when I had issues with the system after like 2 years of having it, and I've done everything, I can't figure it out. I was like, I might as well upgrade. Like, let's just buy a new one, you know? So that's been my solution, and now I kind of got a better grasp of RO units and how to recommend them to people and what they should have. So I plan on doing a video, but first we have 6 videos that we need to put together and get released first. Yes, we do. We got 6 of them at least.
Johnny, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. It says thanks for the tip and the shout out. Thank you.
I wish she wasn't so camera shy. Every time I pull out that little black box, she's like, "What is that?" She stops smiling.
Trying to share the screen sometime today. There we go. All right, I won't refresh it this time. And we will draw this entry. No music. It's kind of lame. Yeah.
Oh, she tried.
I can see your pictures. Guilty Creek, congratulations. Make sure you comment down below and make sure you are still here for that giveaway. And then we will start another one. Hopefully next week. We already have it scheduled, so it will be much more efficient. Next week is our bigger giveaways because it is Christmas, right before Christmas. So we do a lot of giveaways. That's mainly the whole stream. It's just giveaways. So hopefully you all can join us. Awesome. And they're here. Make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com in order to receive that hashtag swag giveaway. And let's go back and start a new one. And I will make sure not to refresh it.
And if you're unfamiliar with what our swag pack is, we do have a piece of clothing to throw into it, as well as a bunch of stickers. I think that is the last swag pack, though, that we have.
Yeah,
so next week,
for now,
we have other things to give away, though. We might give away a sticker pack, and it won't be a swag pack.
Yep. And then what's the next giveaway?
Hashtag TGOE.
Yeah.
We'll give away a $25 gift card to our site, tgoeshrimp.com. Some of you might have noticed prices are still pretty cheap on the website. Someone has not done their job and taken the prices down. That is me. I have not. You'll see a lot of the shrimp we have sold out of. Those are gone. It is no longer the buy 5, get 2 free. It is now buy 10, get 3 free. So not as good of a deal. The Black Friday sales are our best sales of the year. But it's the holiday season, so they're not as good, but they're close, right? So we got to be able to advertise that our Black Friday sales are the best.
Everyone thought they had Rogue Bleach with their shirts. Asia said, where does the Aquashella giant red shrimp inflatable live? What a perfect fish mist decoration it would be. I know the poor thing definitely isn't doing so well either. Like 2 of its legs got a pinhole in them. And I wanted it so bad. That thing is ginormous. That would take up more than our front yard. It would be in the road or like on the electric lines. That thing is ginormous. It doesn't look that big in videos or pictures. That thing is astronomically huge. Like, I don't think it would even fit in our front yard. I would have to put like all the other decorations somewhere else.
It would go on our house.
Yeah, that would be so dope, but it'd probably fly away. We'd have to really tie that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? You just want to go, don't you? Yeah, this one, once she starts walking or crawling, she's gone. You ain't gonna keep her holding her down. But yeah, that gets wrapped up and put in a. They have like a specific warehouse that all the Aquashella stuff goes to, like a shipping. What are those called? I don't know.
She just wants to dance.
Shark says maybe you need to come up with a Garden of Eater towel so you don't bleach your merch. We definitely need the towels. That is a definite must-have for next year. I wanted to get it done this year, but we didn't get anything done. I haven't been happy with the logo. Like I'm just trying to tweak it a little bit or think of different ways to do it. We haven't done what we wanted to do with the logo this year. Julian said, hey, TGOE, first of all, hopes all is good and all the best. Quick question, if I may have tank with tangerine, tiger, carradine, and shrimp, and I found 2 blue babies, and I didn't mix them with blue shrimp.
I have a tank with tangerine, carradina, and what else is in there?
Nothing.
So maybe they're hitchhikers on a plant or something like that. Are they tangerine tigers from us? Because there was some tangerine tigers that were entered into one of the, I don't think it was the American Shrimp Contest. I think it was the Carolina one. They're definitely not tangerine tigers. They're definitely tang ties. So there's definitely a possibility where tang ties could produce some blue-looking blue jelly shrimp that'll turn black as they age. But if they're pure tangerine tigers, we've never gotten any blue shrimp out of them ever.
Passing Wind says, the secret to a long marriage, always compliment her cookies. That's why he didn't marry me. So he can diss my cookies, obviously. Vibe said, oatmeal, white chocolate, cranberry cookies. That's awful.
You had me until the cranberries.
Actually, it might be good. I don't know. Your taste buds change, and I haven't tried cranberry in so long that maybe I would like it.
Vibes, you also like lavender. I don't know if I can take your food recommendations.
We don't like a lavender either. The isopod agenda. That's funny. Make sure you do hashtag TGOE if you are just joining us. I'm saying that as I try to read at the same time. Yeah, Temperate Tank says, I'm trying to get some isopods going to wait till spring, though. Well, hopefully you do well with them. Ours are still breeding like crazy. Even in the turtle tank, I thought he would have gobbled a lot of them up by now, but mm-mm. Oh. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, we don't have the last time it didn't work for us is because it's not showing us live. It's because we didn't schedule it in time, apparently. It takes a minute.
And I don't got anything else on my notes. This week, pretty much just get the 500 tanks set up and running. Get the RO water cranking tonight. I'm pretty sure it's empty, so it'll fill up overnight. And then tomorrow I've got to mix some bacteria and fertilizer into the mix with about 1 inch or 2 of substrate in each tank and get them cycled for 30 days. We obviously won't get any shrimp into the tanks before the new year, but they'll be done. And that's what's important. That's all that matters.
In my tank said, did you find out what that big aquatic isopod you had was yet?
So, no, we haven't been able to figure that out or do any research on them. We really haven't had any time and haven't really even tried. So I kind of just posted and I was like, has anybody been able to ID it? No. So, yeah, that's a project for another day.
Someone said, first the cookies, now the website. I know it's your birthday, but be careful, buddy. Ashley said, I would have totally taken the shrimp if they were giving it away. I have room for it now.
First, it was going golfing while we had 15 orders going out today.
Yeah. You didn't have to put that on there. You know, sometimes my mind is like a goldfish. It just kind of like, I forget. But then you're like, oh, yeah, I did this. And why would you do that?
Second, I reminded Shelby last minute that our mortgage bill had to be paid today. So.
Oh, yeah, I had to go do that. That's fine.
Because I forgot about doing it the whole month.
That is your responsibility.
Yes.
But, you know. Beauty in the Butt said, I thought the stickers you sent with my order and membership were very cool. I like the double helix. Thank you. That was supposed to be our um, our logo, but it doesn't translate to do many things like the hats we want to do, the embroidery, the banners. It kind of loses detail, things like that. We were advised not to do something like that, but I had fun one day on Canva and came up with that design one day when I was feeling artsy, and Grant really liked it. So I was like, yeah, sticker time. I have a couple more stickers actually made, some fun ones and another one that I like, but haven't got around to ordering them. So hopefully for the new year, we'll have some new stickers too, and some special ones to go out. I know someone that embroiders. Oh, you embroider towel? That's cool. We do have a basic logo now. That was the whole thing with the hats. It was like too much with like this logo has so much going on and it's like triple layered in colors. It really, really causes problems. In my tank says I got some tank ties from you guys at the Clash and they have had some babies growing up. It's so cool seeing the variations.
That's why I always recommend tank ties for people that want to get started on like a mixed tank. All the genetics in the entire house are in our tank tie tank, except for the hollow eyes and like the orange eyed variations that are in there. They're not very strong in the DNA, so very rare if you do get one popping out of the tank tie, but you can get pintos and a lot of different things.
Beauty in the Bud said, I love the smell of lavender, hate the taste. I can't do either. I don't know what it is about lavender. It does not calm me down. It does not. Not a calming effect for me. Beauty in the Bud said, what are tank ties a mix of?
Tank tie is just a name for a hybridized tangerine tiger. So it's a tangerine mix with anything.
Just looked like she waved. I did not do that. That was so cute. I wish I could clip that. I don't know how to do that. I'll figure it out. I love tank ties. Oh, they're so cute.
And so you want to do the giveaway? Hashtag TGOE. Your last chance to get in on the $25 gift card.
Yeah.
I think someone's getting a little bit hungry.
Frog said, have you gotten new hats? Not yet.
No, I was thinking about maybe we do a small batch run and do the logo and just not do too many and we'll hook you up with a hat. I haven't forgotten about you. We just, like Shelby said, she wasn't really happy about the logo. We want to do a run, but maybe just a small batch and it's like a one-of hat before we come out with the hat.
All right. I hope I'm sharing. I think I am.
I see some isopods in there for sure. All right, Davo.
Congratulations. It's so funny to see all these pictures up close. I did not know that's what that picture was. That is so cute. She is done.
So Dave,
She's
please
eating
make
herself.
sure you message us in chat and then so we know you're still here, as well as make sure you email us with your name, address, so that way we can, or not address, we just need you to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com
No address
so
for
we
this
can
one.
send you, yes, so he can send you
Yeah,
your
he's still
gift
here.
card.
Well, thank you for joining us. And then Felipe, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Says, how many generations should you wait before crossing tie beads if you want to make tie beads? Also, thank you for everything you do for the community.
I don't think you need to wait any generations at all. If you're just trying to make your own pinto from scratch or anything like that, I recommend getting that Taiwan bee genetics into there as soon as possible, because no matter what kind of pattern you really have, crossing back with Taiwan bee is kind of going to demolish that pattern. So I'd rather start working on the pattern with the double pigment as a tie bee rather than working on it as a, like, if you make a tie bee into a fancy tiger per se. Then you cross it with a pinto and you still got a lot of work to do. So you might as well just try to make the Galaxy pinto or Galaxy tiger straight away and cross the Taiwan bee to make the tie bee as fast as possible. Great question.
I wish I was listening. I need to learn a little bit more about that too. Those are the ones where you kind of lose me in the tie bees and crossing them and genetics.
So on there, it's more so just kind of what you consider standard and trying to get the title of the tie bee, right? You've got the genetics and crossing them to make a tie bee. All you need is the Taiwan bee to put that double shadow pigment on it to make it a tie bee. And me just crossing a tie bee with a Taiwan bee to make a tie bee, it's not that simple. For me, in order for it to be a tie bee, it's got to have that double pigment. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean double pigment? If you look at a crystal black shrimp and then look at a panda Taiwan bee right next to each other, the panda Taiwan bee almost looks like it was painted with an extra coat of black and white paint to make it look super thick, super solid in color all the way around. Where the crystal black shrimp, if you look at it under a microscope, you're going to see lots of gaps and breaks in the pigments. On the panda, you're not going to see very much. So it's because the double pigment has 2 layers of pigment overlapping one another. So it's way thicker and much nicer appealing shrimp in many people's opinions. Not to say there aren't some really nice high-grade crystal blacks out there that rival some of the pandas, but there's even higher grade pandas though.
You know what's funny is I just said I was going to listen and then didn't listen at all to more explaining of it. It just went straight over my head. Davo said, I finally got lucky. I just love this comment because I never win scratch offs, anything like luck wise. I just know I'm not lucky. I just don't do it. And the only thing I have ever won is when I entered for Supreme Gecko, does like 12 Days of Christmas, and they give a bunch of stuff away.
Peaches. I'm sorry. I just remembered. I'm sorry.
That's how we got our gecko, because I did a giveaway. And it was on our Garden of Eden page. And I was just like, it was so funny because Grant has it hooked up to his phone so he can answer and I can answer. He ends up getting the message before me. And he's like, what is this person talking about? You want a gecko? And I'm like, no way, I won the gecko. I'm like, of all things to win, it was a choice between a crested gecko or a leopard gecko, which crested had just like started coming out at the time that I had gotten peaches. Not started, but like started to become popular. Yeah. And I was still not like, still not really into crested as much as the leopards. And I was just super excited, and that's when we ended up getting it like 3 months later because she waited till it was warm to ship her. But she's like the best giveaway I've ever had. So, it's the little things. Vibe said, how does a cookie crawl work? Purchase a cookie box for $10 and stop at the participating stores to receive specials and a different cookie in each store. At the end, you will have a can of cookies.
I don't think we have those in our town.
That's cool. That's not fair. We got to figure that out. Abstract says, you need to get on stick-on tattoos. That'd be so cool. We need to get like the really cool, like professional ones. That'd be so cool. To Beauty and the Vibes, putting find cookie crawl on my to-do list. That's so cool, though.
I would also be down for like an ice cream crawl. You get an ice cream scoop at each one of them.
Cool. And I'm caught up. I don't know how I caught up in chat. That doesn't ever happen.
Well, I think we can end this one a little bit early this week. It's not much. We're like 6 minutes early.
How dare you?
But I just want to remind everybody, next week we'll have more giveaways to do. It won't be just 2 measly giveaways like it is this week. Yeah. I think the whole live stream is just giveaways and holiday cheer and
all
stuff
giveaways.
Like that. So we'll have a couple surprises, and that's about it. And if you guys need to email us to get in contact with us, have anything that we're behind or haven't messaged you, you're not pestering us, you're not bothering us. Sometimes we just need a simple little reminder, and we'll get back at whatever it is you guys need from us. So
thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it, and hopefully you guys all have a nice week until we see you next time.
And happy holidays if you don't join us next week. Thank you so much.